Ladies and gentlemen, this is David Mirikitani with another episode of Weighing In, brought to you by USA Wrestling, the national governing body for wrestling in the United States, and by Nike Wrestling. Go to athleteps.com for all of your Nike and USA Wrestling branded gear. It is arguably the best week of the year if you're a wrestling fan. The Olympics are special. The Olympic trials are special. State tournament weekend is special. But if you're a college wrestling fan, this is it. Joined as always by my good friends Mark Ostrander, who I think is functioning on about 13 hours of sleep. Right? You're well rested, Mark.
Yeah, okay.
And by
I
Grant,
may have some really odd picks, but it's not because I'm thinking straight.
And by Grant Turner, my brother from another mother. Boys, I don't think there's a whole lot to do except get into our picks, because we talked about this time-wise. If we're going to get through 10 weights, give everybody a chance to talk about their thought process, then we'll get to it. A couple of things to say. Tons of ways to play the NCAA wrestling tournament. FantasyGrade.com has a salary cap league. They also have a 1 through 10 contest where you pick a number 1 seed, a number 2 seed, et cetera, and you can pick multiple guys from the same weight. There's also, if you want, you can DM me. You can submit your journalist picks and see what the USA Wrestling contest, see if you would have won. Mark and GT and I this year, we got promotions, boys. Gary Abbott said we could each have our own entry. I thought combined we were 1 journalist, but this year we get to be 3. So that's actually very exciting. You guys will probably beat me in that again, which is a little depressing, but I'll take it. So I turned my picks in. Mark and GT will if Mark ever opens an email. If not, then he loses by default. So that would be good for me. Many wings will be paid off at the Olympic trials, GT, and Vegas. I feel like that's what's going to happen one way or another. So, all right. Well, let's get into it. Let me hit a share screen here. We will get into the brackets at 125. Okay, so what we're going to do, everybody's on their honor code. We'll just try to do this in order. We're just going to pick our top 4 and a little bit of commentary. Mark, as the elder statesman of the group, you have the floor, sir.
I'm going to go coming out of the top. I'm going to go Figueroa. Okay. I'm going to go with God dang, it's hard to see. I'm so blind.
Here, hold on.
There we go. That's a lot better. Thank you, David.
GT, are we going to start making font jokes now?
No, I will reserve that for off air. I'll come hard after both of you.
Screen up a little bit, David. Screen up just a little bit.
Mark, hold on. I'll get there. GT just crushed me in Coralville about my font size on my text messages. So, all right.
There we go.
There's your top half.
I like Matt Ramos and Figueroa in the semis. On the bottom half, I like you aren't going to believe this one, David, but I'm going to go with Drake Ayala, and I'm going to go with Camacho.
Okay, so are those your top 4 picks? Like that, we need to know who's going to place 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think Figueroa wins the whole tournament. I think he's got his head right. I think he's probably as talented as anybody in this weight. I think Ayala comes out of the bottom to wrestle him in the championship. And so then I'm going to give Ramos 3rd. And who else did I have in there? Oh, Camacho 4th.
All right. Are you writing these down?
Yeah, I got them written down.
All right. GT.
All right. Out of the top, I'm going to take Braden Davis and Matt Ramos to meet in the semifinals. I have Davis winning and going to the finals. And then I'm going to have on the bottom Cooper Flynn and Luke Stanich. Then I'm going to have Stanich in the finals.
Who wins it?
Davis.
So this would be, what would be and who gets 3rd and 4th?
Oh, I'm going to take Matt Ramos to get 3rd and Cooper Flynn to get 4th.
Okay. What would be hilarious is if 1 and 2 seeds actually made it here after all the just bonkersness. Okay, I'm coming with Figs out of the top and Ramos out of the top. Figs making the finals. I got Figs first, Ramos third. Out of the bottom side, I've got Spratley making the semis and Camacho making the semis. I got Figs beating Camacho in the finals. I've got Ramos third, and I'm going to take, and I don't even know if the bracket works this way, but I'm going to take Braden Davis to take fourth. Okay, 133 GT. I feel very strongly I know who you're going to pick to win the tournament. But go ahead.
I'll pick Dayton Fix to win the tournament. And then I'm going to take, probably to get second, I'm going to take Vito Arujau.
Okay.
I think Crookham gets third. And I'm going to take Dylan Ragusin to get fourth.
All right. Mark.
Oh, Grant. I'm going to go Vito's number 1. He wins the tournament. I'm going to go Dayton's 2. I'm going to go Evan Frost will get fourth. And third is going to be Crookham.
Okay. So I think there's a couple interesting things. We didn't really talk about seeds, but I think it's really interesting to me that Fix is on the top with Shawver and Ragusin, and then Arini, Nasser Bailey, Vito, and Crookham are all on the bottom. It feels like the bottom's harder here, sort of the opposite of 174. I think the bracket's tailor-made for Vito or Dayton, to get to the finals. I don't think Bouzakis is an awesome second-round draw. If Frost will wrestle him hard, but I feel like he's got the goods to make it to the finals, obviously. So I'll take him to make the finals out of the top. I'm going to take Crookham to win the tournament, and I love Dayton. Crookham looks so good this year. I'm going to take. And the thing is, if I pick Crookham to win the tournament, then I pick Vito to probably take third, and I'm going to take Arini to take fourth. So I think Arini's had a really consistent season. He lost to Bouzakis, but besides that, his only loss was to Dayton. So I do feel like there's a couple guys here that can place that aren't seeded. I don't even think we need to mention that at 25. Anybody could do anything, but not seated in the top 8. Like Nagao is a 10 here, guys, and I think people should keep an eye on him. Latona's a 12. He's placed before. People should keep an eye on him. And Mark, you and I were talking about off the air, Nick Bouzakis is a kid that wrestled really hard on the backside of CKLV, which is a really hard tournament and a big tournament. 2 days, not 3 days, but he's proven he can and will wrestle hard on the back. And I think, pretty much 29 of the 33 guys wrestle a lot of matches on the back or some version of that, only the semifinalists. So, those are some guys to kick it around. I'll go first at 41, I guess. I got Mendez coming out of the top quarter bracket. I'm super interested in the Brock Hardy-Lemley match. And again, these are all seeds hold the 8-9. I think Echemendia makes the semifinals. Guys, I think we all believe if anybody can win this out of the top 3 guys besides them, it's Echemendia. I think he may be the best guy in the tournament on his feet. I think that's an interesting match with Mendez. Mendez doesn't ride exceptionally hard, and that would sort of be Echemendia's kryptonite. So I feel like he's got a chance, but Jesse Mendez just feels like he's on a roll right now. Bottom half, I think it's Woods against Bo Bartlett, but I think Lachlan McNeil is a guy. GT he correctly pegged him last year, sort of a dark horse. I think he was a 9 or 10 seed last year, GT. You would know better than me, having picked him. I'll take Bartlett in the finals against Mendez and Mendez winning. I'll take Woods third, and I'll take Echemendia fourth. GT, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to take Bo Bartlett to win it. I'll take Echemendia in the finals. I'll take Woods to get third and Mendez to get fourth.
So same four guys, different order. Okay.
Yep.
Mark?
Oh, boy. I'm going to take at the top, I'm going to say Mendez and Echemendia. I think Echemendia beats him. I think he's too good on his feet. I think we get into a body lock situation. He gets some back points. That's just what I'm seeing right now. And I think it's Woods against Bartlett. I think Woods figures it out and gets into the finals. And I think Woods is your NCAA champ at 141.
So a rematch from the Cyhawk duel back in November, huh?
Yep.
Okay, so you have Woods one, Echemendia two. Who do you have 3-4?
I'm gonna go Bartlett 3, and I'm gonna go Mendez 4.
Okay, you got these written down.
Yep.
All right, you are first at 49.
49. I love Rich Lovett coming out of the top to wrestle Caleb Henson in the semis. I think this is going to be kind of chalk right here. Ty Waters scares me a little bit, but Caleb Henson's really, really good. And then on the bottom, if we can scroll, David, I don't want to miss anybody's name.
Hold on. There you go.
All right. I'm going to go with Austin Gomez, comes out of that third part of the bracket, beating Arrington in the semis. And in the bottom part of the bracket, I'm going to take Kasich to upset Parco. I think Gomez comes out of the bottom part of the bracket. I think Lovett comes out of the top, and I think Lovett's your national champion.
GT.
In the finals, I'm going to have Ridge Lovett versus Austin Gomez. Then I have coming back to getting third is Caleb Henson. And then fourth is I'm going to give Ty Waters. I think that guy, I watched him at Big 12s, and I was very impressed with him.
He's scary, man.
He's pretty dang good.
He's good in abnormal positions. So I'll just button my pick. I got Lovett over Gomez, Parco over Henson, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, just some things to point out to people. I think Casey Swiderski, Lovett, is going to be a really action-packed match. Swiderski's a highly emotional guy, so I think if he can calm it down, I mean, he kind of has the skill set, I think, to wrestle with Lovett. I think Lovett's separator is how good he is on top. And the same thing with Ty Waters. Ty Waters, Henson, if I have to pick here, I'll take Henson, but it's by a whisker. I mean, Waters is coming in having won the conference. Henson lost a controversial match. There's no disrespect to Jackson Arrington. Just Gomez has looked really good this year. He's one of those guys, he looks like he never is breathing hard. And, I mean, that has to do a lot with emotional control besides cardio. And I think at nationals, people get really hyped up. I think Gomez will be calm, and I think that helps him. I think Parco's a guy we've kind of slept on all year. He lost to Van Ness in the All-Star meet pretty convincingly, but it was at Penn State and was in November, and I think people maybe have just kind of slept on him. So I think the Parco-Kasich match, Mark, to your point, will be super entertaining. But Parco's been here before and done it, so I have it going Levitt, Gomez, Parco, Henson. GT, you're first here at 57, is that right?
Yeah.
Can be right.
This one, I mean, I really like this weight class, but I think some of the matchups that I'm really excited to see happen just kind of right out the gate is Mahler versus Teague Travis.
Yes.
Like that's going to be a great one. And whatever it is, then they basically head up against, Levi Haynes. I think that top part right there, also Will Lewan versus Saldate, another Big Ten matchup.
All four guys in that quarter bracket are Big Ten, right? Chumbley and Rob.
Yeah, all right there. But all right, so this lends it to who I'm gonna pick Levi Haynes to make it to the finals. I'm gonna pick Ryder Downey to make it to the semifinals. I have Ryder Downey getting 4th. And then I have on the bottom Shapiro and Teamer making it to the semifinals with Shapiro winning in like some sort of weird scramble. Like either in overtime or like last second type thing.
Slice dog, getting it done.
Right. But I think I picked long, like very, very beginning of the year. I thought like Teamer could win it. I think that he's wrestling probably the best he's wrestled all season. So I'm very high on him. I think he's wrestling extremely well. And then huge fan of picking up from Northern Iowa, Ryder Downey, winning the Big 12 championships. In kind of like everybody doesn't know the rule, double ride-out situation to win the title. So I think that guy's got ice in his veins, and he's beaten some really good guys this year. Just think that continues.
The no one knows the rules thing is fascinating, right? Like just high level people just not quite putting it together. So, all right, Mark, who you got?
I got Levi Haynes making the finals coming out of the top. And I'm going to go with, the rest of it I just don't love. I kind of think Downey might make the semis too, Grant. But Bryce Andonian, you want to get funky. Bryce Andonian going to put you to. I'm going to go with Bryce to make the semis. And on the bottom, I'm going to go Shapiro. And I'm going to go Franek. I think Franek is going to give Teamer as much as he wants and then some, just because he stays so low to the mat. I don't see how Teamer's going to get underneath of him. And Franek is really good at picking those ankles and staying in position. Unless you can ride Franek and wear him out, like, Penn State's been able to do, he's going to be a tough out. So I like Franek making the semis. I think Shapiro's just a little bit too good. And so I see Shapiro making the finals, but I got to go Penn State all day long because he can ride. And Shapiro has proven he struggles on the bottom like a lot of true freshmen. That's where he's lost some matches this year. And Haynes can ride. And, I mean, he's gotten really good at it.
So you got your picks down in writing.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I got Franek getting 3rd, and I'm going to go Bryce Andonian getting 4th.
Okay. So just like GT pointed out, Mahler, Travis, I think there's a couple other matchups to point out here. Downey and Andonian should be fire. Michael Blockus, if you're Ed Scott, that's like you're the 4 seed. You get Michael Blockus, who killed a bunch of guys this year. As that's the 13 seed. That feels terrible. And guys, before I make how much are we looking forward to Meyer Shapiro, Cody Chittum, if that were to happen? I mean, that's a round of 16 matchup where I can't even remember our picks, but I know somewhere at the beginning of the year, Shapiro, Chittum, Messenbrink were all freshmen that one version of us or another had those guys in the finals.
Yep.
And I don't think we all knew who was going what weight class and everything else. And to be fair, it's very difficult to pick in November. But Cody Chittum's had an inconsistent year, but his ceiling's really high. Brayton Lee Cardenas will be certainly a fascinating match to watch. All right, so I will go Haynes coming out of the top. I have no idea who's going to win that second quarter bracket. But I'm just going to vote with my heart because I think Andonian will make the semis. I love watching that kid wrestle, and I got a chance to interview him, and he's awesome. I got Pyro making the finals. I got Teamer taking 3rd. and I got Frantic taking 4th. So, I mean, and I guess that makes it feels like I think the bottom half of the bracket is at least more top heavy. So, all right, 65. So this is a weight, as we talked about last week, the seeds were fairly predictable. There's the whole A beat B, beat C, etc. So the semis at the top, I really, really, if I had to pick one semi that I believed was going to happen, it's going to be O'Toole Carr. The bottom semi, I'm going to pick Caliendo to make the semis against Mitchell Messenbrink. I think if that happens, that's a great draw for Mitchell Messenbrink. So I have Messenbrink making the finals. I'm going to pick O'Toole to make the finals and to win it. So I'll go O'Toole first, Messenbrink second. I'm going to go Carr third. And I think that would put Carr on the same side of the bracket as Caliendo, so I'll take Hamidi 4th. GT?
Yeah, once again, I think I haven't necessarily looked at the brackets in like that much depth as far as like where they would maybe cross bracket or all these other things. So like I got to be once again give a little caveat to like
Sure.
my picks. Like, hey, I think if it all works out the way that it could work out, you know, it might not work out with the people that I picked in order to like if they fall back to each other type situation. But I think just based off the conversation, like who's getting to the semis and who goes all the way back, that's kind of how I've been doing it. Just once again, I want to put a little disclaimer on it.
Hey, if you're wrong about any of it, you're off the show. It's no big deal.
100% agree and factual. I get it. I get that.
How about whoever gets last on all these picks has to shave their head? How about that, Grant?
I don't think that's fair because I do that weekly, and Mark.
Yeah. I'll shave my face. How about that? That would be different if I get last. All right. So I got out of the top, once again, crazy talented weight class, humongous potential with rematches, 100% with like different things going on. So I have Keegan O'Toole, David Carr, round 78.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have O'Toole winning that match and then also becoming the champion. I too have Caliendo, Messenbrink in the semifinals on the bottom, which then I have Messenbrink getting to the finals, Caliendo getting 4th, David Carr getting 3rd. And one of the matches that I'm really excited to see if it comes to fruition is Izzy Olynyk, Cam Amin, round 2.
Yeah.
On the bottom, that's a 7-10 matchup right there. And then I also really, really like, once again, got to give out some shout outs to my Iowa boys, potentially a Hunter Garvin, David Carr round 2. So that would be a lot of fun to see.
Is Garvin an Iowa high school kid?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Wrestles at Stanford, but he has to get through Benaki from Little Rock, which also that's crazy that he's a 13 seed with a 22-3 record.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Yes, correct. All right. We good here, Mark?
Yeah. I mean, I got Keegan O'Toole in the semis against David Carr. I'm picking David Carr to beat him this time. I think David Carr actually out-wrestled him in the duel, was the only one that actually got in on the legs. Didn't finish real well, but was making attempts. I think he's not going to probably make as many attempts. He's going to have to really pick his spots where he scores. I don't think O'Toole can take him down, David. I don't think shot-wise O'Toole's going to take him down. So, and Carr's been proven that he can get off the bottom against him. He's not, no riding time, hasn't been riding him.
So, I'm gonna take, no, slow down. So this is great. We're doing fine on time. So I love this conversation, and I know GT does too. We all put our coach's cap on for something like this. But Mark, you've been doing it longer than us. So I want to just rephrase what you're saying and make sure I got it correct, because then I want you to expound upon it. What you're saying is you feel like when you say Carr out wrestled him, you mean in the duel that just happened a couple weeks ago, or in the Big 12? I'm sorry, Big 12 final. Excuse me. And I mean, that's subject to debate. I don't think what is subject to debate is David took more shots and touched the legs more often. Keegan's really good in there. I watched Askren talk about the high-level stuff that both guys did in a couple of those positions that ended up in stalemates. If you're coaching David Carr, is what you're saying is, look, Keegan didn't shoot very much. Certainly keep your defensive posture good, but you don't have to force shots. And if you shoot head inside, you got to stay head inside, because if you get your head outside to the wrong side, you're toast there. Is that – and if
exactly David Carr took him down last year, all with shots with his head to the inside, working himself away, being able to get to that other ankle and finishing. This time, for some reason, he was shooting and his head was to the outside, and O'Toole was able to sit about as good as anybody and work his hips. But if you remember, in the third period, they got into a scramble, and Carr had every opportunity to put him on his back. Actually, O'Toole put himself on the back. Carr tried to hip out, didn't really pay attention to what he was doing, and O'Toole was able to roll through it and end up getting the takedown. If he sits his hips down, O'Toole's not going anywhere. I think David Carr can figure it out. I think he's just a little bit better athlete. I mean, I think O'Toole's an absolute stud and could be a 4-time national champion. Don't get me wrong, but I think David Carr can win this match. So I'm just going to pick David Carr to be in the finals, and I'm going to pick Messenbrink to absolutely run through the bottom of the bracket, and I'm going to take Messenbrink to be a national champion as a true freshman for Penn State.
Wow.
He's a stud. He's an absolute beast.
GT, that is the headline moment of the podcast for the first 30 minutes. Messenbrink over Carr. I mean, and look, it's super logical. So you have those two. You have Keegan getting third, I assume, and then who do you have fourth?
I'm going to take Wisconsin getting fourth.
Hamidi.
I like the way he wrestles. Yeah, I like the way he wrestles.
All right. That's awesome. I love the pick. All right. Mark, for the visually impaired, here's the top half of the bracket at 174. So let me set the table on this.
Can I just say something? The worst seeded bracket ever.
Okay, we had this conversation last week. Here's the problem. What do you do with Starachi? Okay, because here's what they did. They adjusted the rule so that you couldn't just get to the Big 10, Big 12 conference tournament, default out, and protect your seed. Okay. Clearly, Carter Starachi wasn't doing that. Okay. He legitimately got injured. No one will know the extent of it for years, probably, outside the Penn State family. But the problem with doing that rule is now guys like Carter Starachi get caught up in the mess. Because, like, if Carter Starachi is either probably going to win it or go 0-2 and not wrestle, right? I mean, can GT, you agree with that? Because Mark is nodding.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you think about that, he should either be the 1 seed or the 33 seed, right? Then if you would split the middle, he'd be the 17 seed, which is really sort of the same as being the 1 seed, except it hoses the 1 seed. So we talked about this last week. I would think you should have made him the 5 seed. Okay. And I say that because he doesn't hit the 1, 2, or 3 seeds till the semifinals, and he doesn't hit the 4 seed until the quarterfinals. And if you go, well, you shouldn't be on the same side as Mackay, then make him the 6. And then the 6 hits the 3. Okay. And Mark, you and I have this phrase: if you're going to complain about something, have a solution, right? At least have a suggestion.
Yeah, I have a suggestion.
Go ahead.
Let's just go by records. Okay. Starachi's lost twice this year, both by injury default. So he didn't actually wrestle the match and lose. Let's look at the records, David. Number 2's DeVos with 1 loss. I have no problems with him being the 2nd seed. The number 3 seed, is Edmund Ruth, 22-2. Okay, they both have 2 losses. Edmund Ruth lost to Kennedy.
So you'd make him the 3. You'd
I
make
would
Carter
make it the
Stracci.
3. I think the worst you could do is make him the 3 with 2 losses.
Yep. The
Plus,
problem.
he's a 3-time national champ. That has to count for something. You
It
can't
doesn't.
just throw that stuff out the window
It doesn't.
when it comes to their senior year.
But it doesn't in the formula.
Well, then the NCAA and the coaches have to start complaining about this. You can't have all those great guys on the top. You got 3 national champions on the top half of the bracket.
Well,
3.
the 6 seed would have solved the same problem. I agree with you. All right. Okay. So we're still going to pick this bracket. So go ahead.
Yes. I just wanted to get that out because
And get it off your chest, Mark. Say it with your chest.
I wasn't feeling real well about it. I'm going to put Stracci in the semis, and I'm going to go with, I think Shane Griffin might be hurt. So I'm going to go with Patrick Kennedy. I think Patrick Kennedy, healthy, can beat anybody on that quadrant of the bracket. So I'm going to put Patrick Kennedy out there. I'm going to go Stracci's in the finals. And on the bottom half, I'm going to go with Edmund Ruth. And I'm going to go with Cade DeVos. And I'm going to take DeVos to win. And I'm going to go Stracci wins the finals. And DeVos is second. I'm going to go with, this is a part I hate because you don't know if these guys that have been around for a long time are going to actually wrestle in the back. But I'm going to go with Virginia Tech getting third.
Mekhi Lewis. We'll just
Mekhi
say his name.
And I'm going to go with Rocco Welch getting fourth.
Okay, GT, before I go to you, I need an independent judge. Who got more excited, Mark about that or me about Panero Johnson last year?
I think that's a really good tie. I think that's, yeah.
It's funny being on the other side of it, like listening to.
Well, David, you made so many great points and when you were talking about it. But if you just look at their records and who you lost to and how you lost to them, there's no reason he's the number 9 seed. None whatsoever.
I don't know how they got to 9. And I was actually talking with Hardell Moore about this last night because he did, he doesn't nerd out about the rubric. And I was telling him that, and we came up with this word, it's called manual manipulation. But essentially, if a bunch of guys are relatively close, and I don't know what the delta is, but then the committee's allowed to maneuver them. And I guess that's good. Otherwise, you don't need a committee. Like, you just spit the numbers out and you could seed the tournament. Really, you could seed most of the tournament on Monday morning, and then you would just add the wild cards in. So, I mean, I guess that's not true. No, that's wrong because, like, a guy like Stracci's a wild card would obviously screw up the seeding. But you could do them in order and then plug those guys in as they come in. Because the way the rubric works is they do the math of everybody against everybody. So you have a record. So, like, if Grant Turner, he would be, say, 32-0 against all the other guys. And then Mark's 29-3. Then I'm like 21-12 or something. But let's say Grant's 22-10, I'm 21-12, and Mark's 19-13, and they're really close. That's where the committee can maneuver around. Okay, GT, go ahead. I apologize for the halt in the process. Go ahead.
It's all good. Yeah, and once again, I think there's a lot of really, really talented wrestlers on the bottom half of this bracket. I just think that it's so top heavy with previous accomplishments that we kind of maybe overshadow maybe the year that like Cade DeVos has been having, or like outstanding season that Rocco Welch has been having.
Yes.
But I mean, to that point, I think out of my picks, I'm picking 2 and 2, but it really could be all top four are from the top half of the bracket. So I'm picking Stracci to be Stracci again and just continue to do what he does and win it and come out of the top. I think Edmund Ruth makes it through the bottom half. I think it's going to be an amazing matchup between him and Cade in the semis. Yeah. I'll have Makai Lewis getting third and Cade DeVos getting fourth. I think that rattles off the top, whatever it is. I think Shane Griffith is an All-American, just to give him a little bit more flowers as he continues to be the savior of Stanford wrestling. Yeah. Ball wrestling for Michigan. But, I want to make sure that another guy that is someone that I think probably we all should maybe kind of watch out for is PK. Depending upon how Shane is feeling or healthy, Patrick Kennedy's been way above average for being up a weight class from the previous year. And, just his ability to continue to wrestle really, really, really tough. So I could see that, kind of that 12-5 matchup, how you would see it in the NCAA basketball championships. A 12-5 is always something that you always pick to watch out for. I think that could be a sleeper pick for an All-American, basically being seeded 12th.
Well, the other thing is we all have a lot more familiarity with Iowa than Harvard. And we all, I think all of us in the benefit of the doubt sort of give, I think there's a bias towards big schools, big programs. I think we all have it with Penn State at nationals. And that bias comes from seeing data and results. Okay, I got Starachi top quarter bracket. I got PK second quarter bracket for all the reasons you guys laid out. I got Welsh coming out of the third quarter bracket. I just think he's really peaking at the right time. And we got to remember, he wasn't even supposed to wrestle this year. It's supposed to be Carson Karchler's weight. So, talk about depth at Ohio State. Fourth bracket feels like Cade DeVos has a really, really manageable path. I'm going to take Starachi over Welsh in the finals. And I'm going to take DeVos third and Ruth fourth. And again, I will use the caveat of GT. I'm not quite sure if that can work mathematically with the brackets, but if GT can do it, I'm half as good looking as him, so I can do it once. We'll just go with that. So, is that fair, Grant?
I think that's fair enough.
It's half a relatively accurate percentage. So, all right, you'll take it. All right, I'll go first at 84. I think Keckheisen completely runs through this whole bracket. I think we have not talked about him enough. I think he's a super elite wrestler. Loved his interview after the Big 12s. I'm going to take Pinto to make the semis out of the second quarter bracket. I'm going to take Platt and Truax and Foca. Oh, my God. Okay, I'm going to take Truax to make the semi. I'm going to take Salazar to make the semi. I guess I'm taking Truax based on that to make the finals. So I've got Keckheisen against Truax, a rematch of the All-Star meet. I'll take Platt to take third. And I'm going to take Salazar fourth. Mark.
Well, I'm going to start at top, and I'm going to go Keckeisen's in the finals. And I'm going to have him wrestling against probably Pinto. I don't know. Pinto's tough to wrestle. He causes a lot of problems for a lot of people. So I think that's a really good pick, David. But I think Keckheisen beats Pinto pretty handily. I don't think it's even remotely close. And then on the bottom part of the bracket, oh man, that's a tough one because I like the way Platt's wrestled all year long. I think he's really improved. And I think Foca is really, really scary, but I think Platt's too good on his feet. So I'm going to have Platt coming out of that section. And out of the bottom section, I can't see it right now, but
hold on.
you're doing your thing. I think Salazar is really underrated. I think he's an absolute beast when he wrestles out there, and he's going to just beat your brains in. He's not a great technician, but he's just so strong and physical. I'm going to put him in the finals, and I'm going to take Keckeisen to win. So I've got Salazar getting second. I'm going to go with Plot getting third, and fourth, I'm going to go with whoever I had in the semis, I guess.
Pinto?
Yeah.
So, GT, we've left the door wide open for you to pick Bernie Truex to take fourth for every year of his career. So, having said that, go ahead and go.
I actually do have Truex getting fourth. So I have Keckeisen, Plot, and then I have Munoz, Bernie.
Okay.
I think that's probably one of the most anticipated quads that I've seen outside of the 74 one where it's Mackay, Starachi, and all those guys. I think this one gives me the heebie-jeebies a lot because there's so much talent in that itty-bitty little quad. I could see a whole bunch of upsets in the first round.
Are you talking about the Plot quad, or are you talking about the Plot one?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
With Gavin Kane, Colton Hawks, Foca, Conway, Pine. Like, that is a very, very difficult quad to come out of.
And Truex is in that quad, Grant.
Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest thing is like when you have those guys, I mean, to you guys' point, I think Plot to me has been wrestling the best that he's ever wrestled in his career. I think he's probably the consistent that he's been. And that's kind of why I'm leaning that way.
Who do you have him wrestling in the semis though, Grant?
I think I have Salazar. I think Salazar is going to get fifth. I think that he's had an amazing season. I think that he just falls back to a bad matchup. Whether that be, Bernie or Munoz. I have a lot of respect for Salazar. He's very quietly gone about his business this year. But I think he gets fifth. I think that he's just like maybe one match away from getting into that third, fourth match, but I think that he's definitely an All-American. I think that he just has a loss to whoever's in that quad, Plot or Truex, as we've kind of mentioned. Like, if Bernie can get all the way there, then he's no longer fourth. So he's
GT. You want to kick off 97?
Yeah.
Let me scroll down. Keep going. I think we know who we are all picking for the finals, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think this one, I think, as far as, I don't know, the guys that I have picked to do what I have them to do, I think it's the only thing that is going to be changed is that I think Michael Beard gets third and Tanner Sloan gets fourth, and then it's Brooks and Hidley, and Brooks being the champ. Now there's a ton of crazy talented dudes in this field.
Yeah.
Tons of previous All-Americans, lots and lots and lots of crazy matchups just to get things kicked off. But I just, for whatever reason, I'm kind of going almost a little bit chalky at this one with the third and the 3 and the 4 basically flipping. But one of the guys that scares me a lot that could make a very deep run on the front half is Jacob Cardenas. I think he's in a really good spot, but Rocky Elam looked pretty good at Big 12s. I think Stephen Buchanan and Stephen Little, that's an interesting matchup round 2.
Yeah.
But I think on the bottom, I think Hidley's been wrestling probably as good, if not better than any 2 seed.
Yes.
He's just, I have a lot of respect for him and what he's been able to do at NC State. And I expect him very much to go through the bottom half of the bracket. I think his matchup with Glazier is going to be fun to watch because Glazier is a guy that he just keeps showing up and winning. Like, not real flashy, but I think Hidley, is just maybe one tier or one shelf above Glazier right now. But I'm very interested to see that matchup.
Yeah, I was trying to do the math in my head, but I think the undefeated number 2 seeds, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's Crookham, Messenbrink, Hidley, and Bastida. And that, if those guys most years would be 1 seeds based on how they've wrestled, I think Crookham certainly had an argument to be the one. Messenbrink would be the one if it wasn't returning national champ. Hidley, same thing. Bastida, more or less the same thing. And the rubric seemed like it would have been Bastida over Kirkfleet. So anyway, Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything that Grant said. I think Hidley and Brooks are by far the class of this weight. I think they've proven it. So I have both of those guys make it to the finals. In the semis, I've got him wrestling on the bottom half. I'm going to go with Tanner, Sloan, and Beard on the top. But I am going to say that Zach Glazier places 4th at the national tournament. I think in the wrestlebacks, he's just going to wrestle harder. I think Elam's really good, but he's been banged up all year, and once he loses, that's tough to go back in those wrestlebacks when you're not feeling great and you're kind of beat up a little bit. I think Glazier, to me, has had probably as good a year as anybody at this weight, except for Hidley and Brooks. So I like him getting 4th at the national tournament.
Who's getting 3rd?
I'm gonna go with Sloan getting 3rd.
Okay. All right. I have complete chalk here. Brooks, Hidley, Sloan, Beard. So just to add a little bit, I think Jackson Smith's in a very interesting position to make a good run. I think he could beat Dupre. I think he's got the right style to wrestle Sloan. The Cardenas, Rocky Elam, Michael Beard quarter bracket is really fascinating. I think there's a bunch of different ways that could go. I think maybe if you took all those guys on their best day, maybe it's Rocky. He's the only one that's won an age group world title, but he has been banged up. Mizzou's just had a weird year. It feels like, I was talking to somebody in 11 out of 12 or 12 out of the last 13 years, Missouri's finished in the top 9. And this felt like coming into the year, it might be their best team, and they may have to wrestle really well to finish in the top 9. So, all right, Mark, you started us off. You can finish us off going first. 285.
I'm going to go with Kirkfleet in the finals. Who he's going to wrestle in the semis is just, Colton Schultz, I think you've got to say. I don't think anybody in his quadrant can beat him. So I'm going to go Colton Schultz in the semis. And on the bottom half, you got to go with Mr. America, Wyatt Hendrickson, getting to the semis. And I think Bastida may be the best guy at this weight, the way he's wrestling right now. And I'm going to pick Bastida. I'm going to pick Bastida to win it all. I think he beats Kirkfleet. I think Kirkfleet scares me on top a little bit. If he gets a takedown, I think he could ride him and wear him out. But I think Bastida's really, really, really good on his feet. And I think I just, for some reason, I think he's going to win it. So, and I'm going to go 3rd. I'm going to go with
Hendrickson.
Yep, Hendrickson. And 4th, I'm going to go with maybe Bradley. No, not Bradley Hill. Let's go with Penn State.
He's in the finals, I thought.
No.
Penn State, Kirkfleet?
I'm sorry, Arizona State.
Well, first of all, let's use names and schools. All right, so you got Schultz 4th.
Yes.
Okay. GT, go ahead.
I'm taking, in order, Greg Kirkfleet to win it, Bastida to get 2nd, Hendrickson to get 3rd, Schultz to get 4th. Just straight up 1, 2, 3, 4. I think this weight class, if it falls any way else, you'd be like, there's some really big upsets there, but I think that those guys kind of, to me, have proven that they're in those proper tiers. Now, once again, there's tons of ways for that to go awry a little bit. I think one of them is Nathan Taylor and Colton Schultz in the quarter, if that were to happen. I think also probably one other guy that I think is crazy to, like, I think Zach Elam's pretty banged up, but like he could be, I don't think he could beat Wyatt Hendrickson, but I think that if he goes to the backside, you know, he could beat somebody out in a match that shouldn't be there type situation if somebody loses early. But I think this one, for me personally, feels very 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. So I shouldn't have let Mark go first because I thought I was going to shock some people and pick Bastida. I will tell you guys, I've thought Bastida could win the tournament ever since CKLV. I think one of the things to think about is he's Cuban, and when these international guys, they don't have tournaments that often. So he was probably making weight 6 to 8 times a year at 213. And then he had to go make 197 15 times in 16 weeks. Now he doesn't have to make weight at all. And he might be the poster child for guys moving up. Like, you look at his energy level in these heavyweight matches versus the 197 matches, and it looks like an older brother versus a little brother. Like, he didn't even look like the same dude in terms of energy. So I'm always going to probably bet on the guy that is better on their feet. And I think the 3-point takedown makes that even more so. We talked about that back with the Gabe Arnold, Will Feldkamp match going all the way back to November. And Mark, you and I have talked off the air. Like, I'm a younger fan. He might be one of my, I don't want to, he's definitely one of my 5 favorite guys to watch in college wrestling. So anyway, GT, you want to get your team picks in here real quick, and then we'll let you get out of here?
Yeah. So I got Penn State winning it all. I have Iowa State getting second. Yeah, Iowa getting third. Nebraska getting fourth, and Oklahoma State getting fifth.
Marco.
Well, I'm going to go with Penn State getting first. I'm going to go with Iowa getting second. I'm going to go with Iowa State getting third. I'm going to go with North Carolina State getting fourth, and I'm going to go with Nebraska getting fifth.
So I think I had the same 4 picks. Top 4 is Mark. So, and let me just see if I'll go Cornell fifth. I think that the problem, we could do an hour and a half on, everybody's got a couple guys that feels like they're kind of locky. And then there's, like the blood round, probably more so than ever, is going to decide so much. All right. We have 4 minutes left. I think GT's got 3 minutes left. So very quickly, and we won't write this down. I'm curious. Number 1, does Penn State break the team point record? And number 2, does Penn State win by 100 points? Mark.
No and no.
GT.
I don't think that they win by 100 points, but I think that they are extremely close to breaking the record if Brendan Davis makes finals. Because I personally think that I have them on my list with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the finals.
Hey, so 7 times 16 is 112 right there before they win the finals, if any of those matches, and any bonus.
And I have them winning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and breaking the NCAA championship record with 6 champs.
You do? Okay.
Because, that's because it's only 5, right?
Yes, but I'm saying 6 times 20 is 120 plus a runner-up is 136. I assume you probably have Nagao and Truax placing.
I have Truax placing. I have Nagao not placing. And then, yeah, I mean, it's really top heavy.
You don't have Kasich placing?
No.
So you have 25 finals, 33 not placing, 41 finals, 49 not placing, 57 finals, 65 finals, 74 finals, 84 placing, 97 in heavyweight finals. Okay, so you have 6 times 120 plus 136. Say Truax takes 4th, that's 148. So they need 22 bonus points.
And I think that is very capable for that group. The way that this all could play out, this could be a situation where we're looking at it.
So you've got them breaking the record but not winning by 100.
Correct.
I've got them breaking the record and winning by 100, and Mark's got neither happening. So, I mean, the interesting thing is I think Penn State seeds are like 138 points, and they can go up or down, obviously. Like if Starachi wins it, he's seeded to score 2 points right now. So, I mean, he scored 20 plus bonus. All right, GT's got a hard 10 o'clock stop. I'm on my way out of town to Kansas City. Border Brawl is tomorrow night. If you can make it, actually, it'll be too late where this is going to post on Wednesday. So hopefully when you see this, we'll have had a great Border Brawl. GT and I will be there. This guy, Randy Couture, is going to be there. So he and GT will be signing autographs together. I'll be taking the pictures. GT and Randy are going to have an MMA fight in the parking lot afterwards. It's going to be awesome. So,
Yeah,
will I see Shane on Wednesday or Tuesday?
I don't know what day he gets in, but yeah, I think he'll be around.
Grant,
Boys, I get very thankful this time of the year with the event, and I just want to thank both you guys for everything you do to make this podcast awesome and for, frankly, just being my friends. So this is one of my favorite hours of the week every week. Appreciate you both. For everybody who's watching and listening, thank you. See you all next week.
I'm taking Grant